Hello guys, welcome to the next video tutorial on Android app development for beginners, and in this video we will see how to use radio buttons in our Android activity. Now last time we have seen how to use checkboxes, and the basic difference between checkboxes and radio button is that whenever you want to allow the user to choose multiple options out of a list of options, you generally use checkboxes. But whenever you want to allow the user to choose only one option out of multiple options, then you can use radio buttons. For example, we will take the example that we have taken last time, that we want to allow the user to choose his or her favorite animal. But this time we want the user, or we want to allow the user to choose only one option out of multiple options, and for that we are going to use radio buttons. Now let's take a look at some examples so that we can understand this concept in more detail. So I'm going to go to my palette, and there is a container here called a radio button container or radio group, which I'm going to drag and drop here. Now radio group is a container which we can use to group radio buttons, and whatever radio buttons we put inside this radio group, they are grouped together. And the logic behind this grouping is, in this group, out of this group, we will be only able to select only one option out of multiple radio buttons. Okay, now I'm going to go to my palette and take some radio buttons here. 1, 2 and 3 radio buttons for 3 animals, and I will take a button, and then I'm going to change I will put this button outside outside this radio group. And now I'm going to select my radio group, and in here in the properties, for layout width of this radio group, I will change it to wrap content, and height also wrap content, so that it takes the space which it wants to take, right? Not enough, not much space. Now I'm going to change the name of these radio buttons. Now we can go to our main activity.java file to write some code for these radio buttons and this button. So I will go to my main activity.java file, and in my main activity class I'm going to declare these variables, which are 3 radio buttons and 1 button and 1 radio group, which is this radio group we have taken. Okay, so I'm going to add these variables. So now we have declared our variables here. Now we are going to create a method. So we will create a method whenever we call this method in onCreate, so that it can listen to button click event. So public void and on click listener for button. Okay, so the button, and this is not going to take any argument. And inside this method, what we are going to do is we are going to cast our radio group first. Okay, so in here, radio G for radio group is equal to, in the bracket, radio group, and we will find it by ID. So find view by ID, r dot id dot radio group, right? So the name of our radio group was, I think we haven't decided, defined the ID of this radio group. So if it's not defined, just select your radio group or select here and go to the property called ID and give an ID to your radio group. For example, RG for radio group, RG for animals. So this is for this is the ID, which is RD underscore animal for the radio group. Okay, and I'm going to copy this and go to here where I am casting my radio group, and I will paste this ID here. Okay, now I'm going to do the same for other button. So let's do one more thing before calling this set on click listener for button, that let's declare only one variable for radio button, because we are going to need only one radio button, because we are going to allow the user to select only one radio button, right? So we don't require more variables for radio button. Okay, and whatever radio button user select, we are going to cast this to this radio B. Now we will set on click listener for button. So button submit, which is our button, dot on click listener, or set on click listener. So set on click listener, and in here we'll create a new on click listener. Okay, on click listener, and inside this on click method, what we are going to do is we will declare integer for deciding or for getting the ID from the group, right? So we will name it as selected ID is equal to, and then we are going to take our radio group variable, and then we will get the ID. So get check radio button ID, and then this radio or selected ID we will pass to our radio B, which is radio button variable, right? So radio B is equal to, we will cast it to radio button, and then we will find view by ID, and this ID we will get from radio button. We can pass it here as an argument, and now whatever button is selected on radio button is selected, we can get the text from this button and display. Okay, so what we can do is we can call the toast dot make text, and in here we can call 3 arguments. Now you already know what are the arguments called, right? This, and second is the text itself. So we will take this radio button dot get text dot toString. Okay, and third is toast dot length short, for example, and outside this toast we will just show it. All right, so like this. We are going to include this method in our on create method here. So I will copy the name of the function or method and paste it here. I will change it to German and paste it here. And now we are going to run our application. So run the application, and here the application will appear. So select your device, and now it's going to appear here. So now our application is running, and whenever we select any item from here, we will only be able to select one out of these items, because remember, we have enclosed these radio buttons inside the radio group, and whenever you enclose these radio buttons inside the radio button, you will only be able to select one radio button at a time. Okay, and you can add multiple radio groups to group your radio buttons. So you can add one more group. For example, choose your favorite anything, and you will be able to select only one item out of this radio group also. Okay, so always group your radio button inside a radio group. Now for example, I select this and click submit, and it says dog. For example, I select cat and click submit, it says cat, and same it will say for cow, right? So in this way you can use radio buttons in your Android activity. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.